new morphological forms appear, reaching considerable sizes. And finally, amphibians follow fish with feet to conquer terra firma. 300 million years ago, the first reptiles appear on land. And in the sky, the wingspan of some insects reaches over 3 feet. By the end of the Paleozoic, the land and the seas are bursting with life. It is the golden age for biodiversity. But this period ends with gigantic cataclysms, which exterminate up to 95% of the species. The largest extinction of all time.
95% of the species? But that's enormous. Nothing much must have remained after that.
You're right, my dear. And most of the world's great predators have disappeared. But life persists, and in the seas, many fish and mollusks remain.
What about the marine reptiles?
Their reign begins now. 3 different groups, one after the other, will rule the world's oceans. First, the ichthyosaurs, that use their tails to swim.
Like a fish?
Much like a fish. And then the plesiosaurs, that use their 4 paddle-like limbs to fly through the water. And next, the mosasaurs, that use an undulating movement similar to a snake.
And these animals ruled the seas for 180 million years, throughout all 3 Mesozoic periods: Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. From the early Triassic period onwards, ichthyosaurs are the kings of the seas. During this time, above the water, all the continents on Earth are joined together in a single mass of land, a supercontinent called Pangaea, off to the Pangaean coast.
Switzerland?
Yes. At this time, most of Europe is underwater, a shallow and warm sea. In the Middle Triassic, it's hot and dry on land with little to eat. In the sea, life flourishes again. Several reptile species have returned to the marine environment, thriving on the plentiful food supply. The Tanystropheus hold a world record. In proportion to their bodies, they have the longest necks ever recorded. With his flat teeth, this placodont mostly eats seashells and mollusks.
Aren't those turtles?
Not at all, but they too have developed a tough armor to keep them relatively safe from the great predators of the Triassic, like the nothosaur. Over 13 feet long. Very dangerous, and an excellent swimmer. But it is no chance of catching up with a Mixosaurus.
It looks like a dolphin.
Except it's a reptile. Like marine mammals today, it too must come to the surface to breathe. It belongs to the large group of ichthyosaurs, which will rule the seas for some 150 million years.
That one doesn't seem quite big enough to rule anything.
There are also some very large ichthyosaurs, some measuring up to 75 feet long and weighing 50 tons, like the Shawnosaurus, the biggest of them all.
Wow.
Like all ichthyosaurs, it lives in groups and mainly eats mollusks and small fish.
look like dolphins and whales.
That's right. They are even born in a similar manner.
What do you mean?
Well, let's hear from an expert, the paleontologist Ryosuke Motani. He has just finished studying some very fine specimens from a famous fossil site in Germany.
Many ichthyosaur fossils have been found at Holzmaden with their bones intact, and even with the imprint of the skin on the rock, which helped us to know the position of their fins. Some ichthyosaur fossils are so well preserved that we can actually see fetuses inside the mother's bodies, and some even being born. Unable to get out of the water to lay their eggs like other reptiles, ichthyosaurs gave birth in the water. The babies came out tail first, like dolphins today. Another one of the ichthyosaur's characteristics are its huge eyes, protected by donut-shaped bones, able to withstand extreme water pressure. A Jurassic ichthyosaur, the Ophthalmosaurus, stands out in the animal kingdom as having the largest eyes in proportion to its body. With these enormous eyes, it could make out its prey in the darkness of great depths.
Strangely enough, the ichthyosaurs became extinct in the middle of the Cretaceous, despite their amazing adaptation to sea life.
But how can we know so much about species that became extinct 90 million years ago?
Perhaps because of the large number and the quality of fossils left. And, of course, thanks to those who discovered them. Here we are in London, in one of the most beautiful galleries devoted to Mesozoic marine reptiles. Nathalie Bardet is currently the French expert on these animals.
A long time before dinosaurs were discovered, the remains of marine reptiles had been known to fossil collectors. Mary Anning. In the early 19th century, she was a child when she started to collect fossils around her home along the Dorset coast in southern England. During her lifetime, with an amazingly sharp eye, she found some of the most famous fossil, ichthyosaur and plesiosaur, exhibited here at the Natural History Museum of London. One of the most complete plesiosaur skeletons ever found was Romelosaurus. This early Jurassic predator was a powerful swimmer.
During the Jurassic period, a new group of marine reptiles takes over, the plesiosaurs. At the beginning of the early Jurassic, Pangaea has started to break up and drift apart into different pieces. It is still hot, but the climate is becoming much more humid. Such conditions are perfectly suited to the development of life all over the world.
Now, this sure seems more pleasant than the Triassic did. The Jurassic is considered the golden age of dinosaurs, isn't it?
In fact, it's the golden age of life in general, and even much more so for the reptiles.
Be they earth, flying, or marine reptiles. With their 4 strong paddles, plesiosaurs soon become the new kings of the seas. The first dinosaur to be named is Megalosaurus, which means great lizard in Latin. A well-deserved name for a 30-foot-long carnivore with a huge appetite. Mollusks like ammonites and belemnites experience an unprecedented growth and are on the menu of most marine predators. By the late Jurassic, some animals reach record sizes like the Brachiosaurus, over 100 feet long, and can weigh more than 6 elephants. Godzilla, that is the nickname given to this large marine crocodile discovered in the Andes. With large bony plates on its back, the Stegosaurus, a 3-ton plant eater, is a contemporary of the very first birds. At the end of the Jurassic period, as the continents continue to drift, new oceans appear, and new plesiosaur species rule the deep.
The Liopleurodon is most likely one of the largest ocean predators of the Mesozoic, measuring 49 feet or more.
That big?
Here, this is one of its teeth.
It's for you.
Thank you.
You see, the Liopleurodon had no reason to fear any creature, save perhaps another Liopleurodon. Here is a pair of Liopleurodon. The male is attempting to court the female. Look at her. 50 feet of sheer muscle, 4 deadly paddle-like limbs, and jaws about 10 feet long that hold teeth, even bigger than the one I gave you. During this process, the male makes himself extremely vulnerable to the female.
It seems to have worked.
Now that she's chosen him as her partner, the pair needs to head to the safer coastal waters to reproduce. Like sharks, the male Liopleurodon holds on to the female while mating. Their young will be born in a few months.
What happened?
It seems that upon separating, she has accidentally injured his eye. The pain has made him lose consciousness for a while.